Hello and welcome to another video. In this video we're going to be answering a question, and it's a question that I think a lot of people need the answer to. It's a question that's close to me and what I do, right? But the question is, why should you train? Not talking about training for like skill work with basketball or go getting shots up or shooting or juggling for soccer, anything like that, right? I'm not talking about the sport itself, but why as an athlete should you do sports performance training, athlete training, whatever it is that you want to call it. Why should you train to help further your athletic abilities, right? Like, aren't we just born with it? Don't our genes decide almost everything? Well, my parents are slow and not athletic, so I'm going to be slow and unathletic. The answer to that is it's not true at all, right? We have a large effect on our abilities, and the things that you do, that you've been doing since you were born, have a big effect on your future, what you're able to do and the potential that you have with that. So why train? Why do sports performance training? While this isn't a very difficult question to answer, I'm going to answer it in the way that I think would be best. Let's think about really any sport. Think about your sport. Think about the movements that you would make in sport, right? We do those things, whether it be with a ball, with a racket, with whatever it is that we're playing with, or just our body. If we could do those movements more efficiently, with more speed, with more power, with more control, would that in turn help our abilities in the sport itself? Well, the answer to that universally is yes. If you can have more balance and control and strength through your legs and speed of movement when you're kicking a soccer ball, when you're running, when you're doing anything that requires the legs, and you could say the same for the upper body, if you did that better and more efficiently and quicker, would you be better, more efficient, and quicker? The answer is yes. So it's not this huge complex thing that we're trying to figure out. It's really simple. If you're a basketball player and you need a quicker first step, well, you need more strength, speed, and explosiveness in whichever leg that it is you're pushing off with, right? With that, you need more control, right? So we have all of these little things that we need, these intricate details, and you would say, like, how do I do that? Can you do that from just going and doing the repetition over and over and over and over and over? You'll gain control, absolutely. You might be able to unlock a little bit more speed only because the movement that you're doing is better. For example, a vertical jump with horrible technique. If you're doing an approach jump, with changes in technique, you can see improvements and increases in ability. That isn't because your strength has improved. That isn't because that you all of a sudden have just untapped this athleticism you didn't know you had. It's because you're using your body more efficiently. The more we move, the more efficient we get to be with our body. Old man strength or old woman strength, right? As people get older, our moms and dads are stronger than us pretty easily, right? And it's weird. It's like, I remember for me, my dad, like, he was stronger than I was until I was like in my 20s, and I was lifting weights and doing all this. He wasn't doing any of it, but he knows how to move in his body, if that makes sense. He's been in his body for longer, moving for longer, which gives him the upper hand on me because he knows how to use his body in unison with itself to produce better outcome, right? So we can change the way that we move by getting repetitions of that thing. But are we getting stronger? Are we getting more forceful and more powerful? The answer to that is no. As we get stronger, forceful, more powerful, how do we level that out with control? And that's honestly where the sports performance side comes into play, right? Like, you can adjust your technique to get more in a vertical jump, right? And let's say you go from 18 to 25 inches on your approach vertical through technique, right? That would be an amazing 7 inches, right? And then could you train, and through training, increase your force, your strength, your power, all that stuff, which all of those kind of go together. But right, if we increase all of those, well, now we're not at 25, we're at 28, 30, 32, 33. So when we see these people that are really explosive or speedy or powerful, like, sure, some of that is not as much genetics, but what did they do as a kid, right? What have they done their whole life? Some genetics. And then the second layer to that is maybe you're not just gifted with those things. So what do you do to make those things happen? Which is very feasible and possible. I do it every day, right? I take athletes that aren't as good at this and they get better at it. And that is the purpose of training, right? Through lifting weights, are you going to have a better shot? No. But if you lift weights, if you get stronger and then you go on the court and you get repetitions, could you increase the range of your shot? Well, potentially, sure. Could you increase the amount of space you can get on a defender to get a better shot? Absolutely, right? So we're looking at changing the little things that we can to get the big outcomes, which is more efficiency, speed, power, so on and so forth. So that's the reason you would. Another layer to it is injury prevention, right? If we're doing things to tax the body, meaning we're lifting weights, right? Or we're doing explosive movements, or we're merely just balancing, right? We are doing things that are helping injury prevention. So our risk of injury goes down. They did a study, and NBA players, it was on NBA players, right? They did proprioception training, which for lower limbs is like balance training, knowing where your body is in space, things like that, right? So they're working on balance, working all of those little, when you're bouncing, your muscles are kind of twitching around in your ankles and things like that. So they're working that, and it reduces ankle injuries by 80%, right? That's not just some coincidence. By knowing where their body is in space, not by playing necessarily, but by training this, they can reduce injury by 80%. So disclaimer here, go do your balancing right now. If you're not, watch the rest of this video while standing on one foot, look around a little bit too, okay? But knowing that we can do things that directly affect the outcome of our performance, right? If we're injured, we can't play. You can't. You don't get better when you're injured. You don't. You get worse because you're not able to perfect your craft and increase those abilities. We have to, quite frankly, rest and not do anything. So can I train to be less injury prone? 100%. Can I train to be more efficient with movement? 100%. So if you're like, why would I do sports performance training? Well, do you want to jump higher? Yes, awesome. If you're not going to be able to jump higher, let's say you've reached your threshold, then do you want to jump at your max height for longer? Yes? Okay, fantastic. Do you want to be able to run faster? Do you want to have a quicker first step? Do you want to be more explosive? Do you want to be quicker on a change of direction? Do you struggle on defense? Do you struggle on offense? All of these things can be answered with training. Do you train for those things? And not with a ball, because when you have a ball, that's your focus. When you have a net that you have to jump at, that's your focus. But when you're just focusing on how you move, you get really efficient with those things, and you get much better with those things, and then that starts to translate onto whatever surface you play on, court, field, table, anything, right? It translates. So why train? You train to be the best you. Look at the professional athletes. What do? They train. That should all be your answer right there. Do the professional athletes do it? Yes. Why? Well, don't they have almost all the resources? Yes. So maybe you should too, right? So if we use training to help further our athleticism, we then get an upper hand, and we get to take our game to the next level, right? So take your game to the next level today. Start doing some training, even if it's at home. Do some push-ups. I know a guy who did push-ups, and his bench press is crazy now only because of those push-ups. Terrell, you know who I'm talking about. He's crazy. You don't know who I'm talking about. He knows who I'm talking about. And it's wild, just by doing push-ups at home, doing my little jumps here and there at home, all right? Look up some stuff. YouTube it. DM us, message us. We'll send you information on how you can jump higher, run faster, all that stuff. All right? Go out, get better as an athlete today. We will see you tomorrow. Peace.